Hi there, it's Alisha and I am here from Teen Talk, and today I am talking about one of my all-time favorite standalone novels, The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I should probably say, when I say talking and you can't see the quotation hands I'm doing, but I'm doing quotation hands, I do mean just like gushing for the next 10 minutes about this book. You can take that as you will. So, The Night Circus is a fantasy novel about a magical circus, Le Cirque de Rêves, that will arrive at night without a warning, and it is full of an enchanting and breathtaking experience, only to be closed off again the following sunrise. Behind the circus, however, there is a competition brewing, a duel between two magicians. Celia and Marco have been playing this fight their entire lives, and unknown to them, only one can survive. So, ominous, huh? The Night Circus is a type of book that will never really compare to anything else, for me anyway. The summary just doesn't do it justice. There is so much more to it than that, and I've read a lot of amazing books, and I will continue to read a lot of amazing books, but The Night Circus is so uniquely itself that it'll always reign in an indifferent area entirely in my ratings. It's beautiful and confusing as well as enchanting and romantic. It'll dazzle you and perplex you, and you may have to reread the page, the chapter, or even the book, but once you get a grasp, The Night Circus becomes a dream that you never want to leave. I read it earlier this year, and it has still stuck as one of my favorite books ever. And if you caught my last episode, where I read The Ace of Spades, go check it out, you might have heard me mention I'm not easily swayed with books. I'm picky, but for some reason this one just really stuck with me. I remember putting it down and thinking, I am not ready to finish this book. I don't want to finish this book. I want it to go on forever, which makes no sense, but I did. So clearly I love this book, like a lot. But disappointingly, not everyone does, and I have found that you either hate it or you love it. And it all really depends on what you like as a reader. It has a very specific audience, and yes, that is me. I am that audience. And maybe you will be that audience too. Let's go find out. But to put it very simply, The Night Circus is a fairy tale. The world building in this fantasy novel is minimal to non-existent. The plot is very slow, and there are way too many characters. Yet the story still manages to sustain it all. Things in the Night Circus world are how they are just because that's how they are. There aren't set limitations or boundaries that magic follows. There aren't rules or explanations because in this world the magic simply flows the way it wishes. I'm getting so excited I can't even speak properly. We don't ever really find out about the magic outside of the circus. And the thing is, it just doesn't matter. Like, the book is about the circus, and whatever happens outside of the circus just isn't relevant. Similar to fairy tales. And the novel also doesn't have a linear timeline. It jumps around characters, time points, the past, the future, and sometimes in an awkward limbo. It swirls and spins the storylines in a way that might make you extremely confused. It jumps from third person to second person, and you will probably be horrified to find out that there are 15 POVs that are told in the story, which is funny because I didn't even realize that. But each of those loose strings that start miles away from each other begin to intertwine and form a story with such a satisfying ending that it makes me want to scream, forget everything, and then read this book all over again. It's so important, though, when you're reading this book that you're an active reader. You have to be aware of the dates, the names, the characters, and the general idea, because if you focus on one storyline you deem more important, you will surely get lost in the prose and the magic of the circus, and it'll leave the book feeling unsatisfied and really confusing. Celia and Marcus, the characters I mentioned earlier, are important. They are the focus. However, the others, who there's way too many to mention, they are as well. And although how random or out of place their character might seem, there is a point. You just have to hold out to it. And also, this story is extremely character-driven. Like I said earlier, the plot is minimal, and not even the main focus at times. So I have to say, if you need a concrete, consistent, intense book with facts and a layout that will keep you interested and not confused, this book is definitely not for you. It's slow, and like millions of characters will very gently drive the plot as the magic and prose will spin you around in the novel. And I know that there's no shortage of people who weren't fans of this book. And to an extent, I do understand it's a little complicated, a little boring, and sometimes even a letdown. But to those who feel like they might like this, trust me, this book is the most magical, enchanting story you may ever read. Just forget everything I just said for the past 4 minutes, because, oh my god, one of the best things about the story is the lush prose that will very, very slowly entice you into this intoxicating tale. I have to read an excerpt because the writing in this book, I cannot even explain. It's what truly enthralled me. It matches the aura of this book beautifully. There are some parts that are in second person, and it actually makes you feel like you're a part of the world. You can feel the anticipation, the excitement, and the magic. So let's begin. The circus arrives without warning. No announcements precede it, no paper notices on downtown posts and billboards, no mentions or advertisements in local newspapers. It is simply there when yesterday it was not. The towering tents are striped in white and black, no golds and crimsons to be seen. No color at all, save for the neighboring trees and the grass of the surrounding fields. Black and white stripes on gray sky. Countless tents of varying shapes and sizes, with an elaborate wrought iron fence encasing them in a colorless world. Even what little ground is visible from outside is black or white, painted or powdered, or treated with some other circus trick. The ticket booth, clearly visible behind the gates, is closed and barred. The tents are still, save for when they ripple ever so slightly in the wind. The only movement within the circus is the clock that ticks by the passing minutes, if such a wonder of sculpture could even be called a clock. The circus looks abandoned and empty, but you think perhaps you can smell caramel wafting through the evening breeze beneath the crisp scent of the autumn leaves, a subtle sweetness at the edges of the cold. The sun disappears completely beyond the horizon, and the remaining luminosity shifts from dusk to twilight. Yeah, I probably didn't even do it justice, if I'm being honest. And that is only from the beginning of the novel. The ambience of this story is so heavenly. The way it's so mysterious and beautiful and intriguing all at the same time. It's so fun to read. And it isn't an intense story. And I actually just want to talk about that for a second. There are so many books that are so serious, and of course they are necessary. Wonderful books to read. But sometimes it's just really fun to read a book that it's just pure indulgent. It's gentle and sweet and will sweep you off your feet if you let it. I read books to escape, to travel, to get a little look into another world, as cliche as that may sound. And this book took that and went above and beyond. This book is a 5 out of 5 books for me, if you haven't already guessed. I was a little tempted to give it 4 stars, just because minor complaints. But I think just the stuff I love about this book clearly outweighs the bad, and I can find things that I don't like about literally any book that I will ever read, and at some point it's okay, nothing can be perfect, and this is obviously one of the best books I've ever read. It definitely deserves 5 stars. Anyway, I am running off, going to attempt to join a circus. Maybe you'll see me next time, maybe not. This was Alisha on Teen Talk. Thank you. Bye.
The Handmaid's Tale is a classic dystopian novel where people, especially women, basically have no rights or freedoms. The book mostly takes place in the Republic of Gilead, what I like to call the Republic of no rights or freedoms. Why, you might ask? Well, let's just say the government in charge doesn't allow for the majority of people to have most of the rights that we have today in Canada. For example, citizens of the Republic of Gilead don't have the freedom to speak freely, the right to go wherever and wear whatever they want, etc., which is downright awful. Did you know that the Republic of Gilead was originally New England before it was overthrown? I'm assuming probably not, and if you read The Handmaid's Tale, which you should do, you probably won't notice it because the book's main character is very vague about the setting and how today's government system turned into a truly horrible, jaw-dropping dystopian government. So you have to do a lot of problem solving and connecting the dots. But don't worry, you won't be confused in a bad way throughout the entire book, start to finish. I'm serious. The only thing we, meaning whoever is reading, knows about the structure of society in The Handmaid's Tale is that there are multiple roles. Each role is marked by a color that the person with the position has to wear. The most common colors and roles mentioned in the book include robin's egg blue for the wives, charcoal and black for the husbands, dark brown for the aunts, green for the Marthas, and dark red for the handmaids. I won't go into detail and explain each position because we would be here all day, but to understand Offred's circumstances, I will explain the position of the handmaids. The handmaid's position is specifically for fertile women. In other words, women that can get pregnant. Offred turns out to be one of the few women able to give birth. In more detail, 1 in 4 women have been poisoned by toxins from environmental pollution. Consequently, the poisoning from the toxins leads to the majority of women being infertile or unable to give birth to healthy babies. This is where the position of the handmaids comes in. And to say it's not an easy or fair position is definitely right. Since anyone in the position of the handmaids is deemed fertile, they are forced into having to give birth to a commander's child because his wife is unable to do so. If you don't understand the position by my vague explanation, you'll definitely understand when reading the book. The position is very appalling and sad. At this point, I want to bring to light that The Handmaid's Tale is really not a happy book and brings forth quite a lot of serious topics throughout. Some of the serious topics that come up throughout The Handmaid's Tale are death, family separation, forced pregnancy, hanging, prostitution, rape, sexism, an oppressive government, and suicidal thoughts. In summary, The Handmaid's Tale isn't an easy book to get through. I would even like to say that some parts of the book were a little too old for my age, which is 15 years old. I'd suggest The Handmaid's Tale to readers who don't mind books where there is so much unfairness and unhappiness. Even though The Handmaid's Tale is found in the adult section, it is considered appropriate for teenagers to read. The Handmaid's Tale starts off with the creator of the book herself, Margaret Atwood. She introduces the book in a way that gives you the feeling it's going to be something special. For one thing, when only the introduction of the book and not the story itself gives you the impression it's going to be a good book, there are mainly 2 ways the book can go. It can be disappointing, or it can live up to your expectations. You can probably guess which one it turned out to be for me already, so much for that being a surprise. Right off the bat, the book has you hooked. It's not just the starting events that gets you, it's also the writing. As a result of the writing being so artfully pieced together, it makes the book so captivating and beautiful to read. The way everything is written adds to why this book is so unique from all the other books I've read. For example, there are usually a few books I've read that have a couple of creative lines, but in The Handmaid's Tale, there is always one on every single page. Not only is the writing amazing, but also the main character Offred is too in The Handmaid's Tale. Offred's character is a big part of why the book is so incredible. She's the heart of the story. For multiple reasons, I love her character. One of them being because she is so well balanced. She's intelligent, she's observant, and most of all, she's very real. I found that Offred isn't like other book protagonists, where they have to have something special, something that makes them stand out from others. You could say that Offred's intelligence makes her stand out a little bit, but to me, the way the book's written makes her seem more relatable. Another aspect of Offred's character I love is that even though she's treated so unfairly, she still has empathy for the people who caused her grief, which is a power in itself. Offred's 33 years old and is described as brown-haired, which turns out to be all the description of her physical appearance we are given. In my opinion, I'm a fan of not having that much description of her appearance. I like how the book focuses more on the plot and how Offred feels inside, instead of focusing more on how she looks. Additionally, not knowing what she looks like also adds to the mysteriousness of the book. Throughout the entirety of The Handmaid's Tale, there's a lot of foreshadowing. I found that nothing about the world is described outright. All that you know about the Republic of Gilead is mostly from the foreshadowing that happens throughout. The mysteriousness of everything makes the book so interesting to read. Yet, even though I found The Handmaid's Tale to be an excellent book, I still came across areas of the book I wasn't a fan of. I strongly disliked one part in particular. And sadly, that was the ending. Everything about the book was amazing and eye-opening until the very last chapter. And if you read this book, which I still strongly recommend, you will be just as disappointed as me. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, so the last thing I'll say about the ending is that it's meant to be disappointing. In summary, I wanted to make a podcast on this book because it is very informative and eye-opening. I believe that this book should be read by anybody who enjoys reading. In my opinion, it's a very different, unique book that brings to light multiple issues in today's society that I haven't been aware of yet. Overall, the book has everything you'd want in a dystopian novel, plus extra. If you're curious if The Handmaid's Tale is the right book for you, it's the sum of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, plus the first book in the Divergent series, plus the Hunger Games trilogy. Add all those books together and you get The Handmaid's Tale. Thus, if you liked all those books, you now know The Handmaid's Tale is for you. Thank you for listening to my review of The Handmaid's Tale. Additionally, I hope you enjoyed all my comments and thoughts on the book. If you didn't guess already, I strongly advise you to read it if it sounds like a book you'd like. As it happens, this is not my last book podcast, so if you like this one, remember to stay tuned for more from me.
Hey guys, hope you're having a fantastic day and enjoy the time that you spent hearing my voice. By the way, this is Kian, and in today's podcast, I will be talking about my favorite horror movies that I've watched many times. Many times. Especially on Halloween, I would mostly watch a horror movie on the weekend with my father, but he hates them and just watched them because of me. It showed me that he's not afraid of ghosts and monsters, but he's lying. I'm sure about that. I mean it. Okay, enough talking about my rough competition with my dad to see who is a real man. Let's go for my top 5 scary movies. Actually, that could be some of my film suggestion for you to watch these movies on Halloween or maybe on the weekend. Okay, here we go again. Number 1, Conjuring 1 and 2. I would like the first one more. Kind of movies that may cause you have a heart attack. So I don't recommend this movie to someone who doesn't have a stable heart situation, That might be dangerous. If you really like this kind of ghost movies, well, I love them. Like me and enjoy it, it's definitely a good option for you to watch and to really get scared. Really, okay? Be careful about that. Number 2, Halloween. Halloween is kind of a, thriller horror film. Makes you feel really nervous and anxious while watching it. I love this kind of scary movies. These movies extremely raise your adrenaline, you know what I'm saying? And I enjoy it, and I think the main reason is that because it makes me feel something new. I don't know, maybe it satisfies something. Satisfy my deep emotions, things like that. It's kind of very interesting, But if you like to enjoy this kind of feelings, don't miss this film. It's brilliant. It's very interesting and very entertaining. And as I told you, it makes you feel really nervous and anxious. Okay, number 3, Shaun of the Dead. Okay, let me tell you something. First of all, if I spent the time which I put on watching zombie movies and buying bitcoins, I could possibly be a billionaire right now. I mean, I'm serious. I'm kind of expert in zombie movies, and I'm saying this because we got multiple types of zombie movies. Okay, that's serious stuff. Okay, like comedy zombie movies, scary zombie movies, mystery and drama zombie movies, and etc. See, I'm kind of expert. But my favorite zombie movie by far is Shaun of the Dead. A pure classic zombie movie that is very funny, scary at the same time. I mean, who doesn't like to get scared and laugh out loud in the Halloween night, you know? I love it. And yeah, these are my top 3, as I told you. Top 3, I don't know, my favorite top 3 scary movies. If you like them, you can watch them. I don't know. By the way, I hope that you enjoyed while listening to me and maybe watch one of these movies one day. You know, I don't know, weekend, something like that. You will not regret it, okay? I assure you that. Okay, till next time, have a good day, evening, and night. Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, my name is Allison Light and I'm a teen volunteer from the library. First and foremost, I welcome you to one of my podcasts. Usually I'd be discussing and summarizing books I have recently read, but today I'll be doing something a little different. Since Halloween is just around the corner, I thought it'd be fun to get in the holiday spirit with a little spooky story of my own. And now, without further ado, I introduce The Golden Arm. So I hope you enjoy. Welcome. Today I'll be telling a story about a boy who didn't listen to his father. One day, there was a boy and his father. The boy asked his father to tell him a story. The father told him one. He said, "There once was a man who was rich, so rich he could have anything he wanted. He never shared any of his fortunes. It was all his. He was a greedy man at that. He wanted everything, but from his greed and hunger for more, he lost his arm from one of his adventures. He never told anybody how it came about. Since he was filthy rich, he got one of the most talented mechanics to build him an arm of gold. Everybody admired it. He became famous for it, but he was still hungry for more. On one of his adventures of greed, he never came back from it. Legend says whoever finds his arm will summon his ghost to retrieve it." The boy just laughed and discarded his father's story as nonsense and went off to school for the day. A few days later, the boy was walking home from his friend's house late at night. It was cold, and he just wanted to go home. He decided to take the shortcut through the cemetery. He didn't like being in the cemetery. It was scary. He ran through it as fast as he could and tripped. He saw gold flicker in his view. He noticed he tripped on a golden arm. He thought back to his father's story. He thought about how much money he could get from the arm. He picked it up without another thought and ran home. He ran up to his room really quickly and put the arm under his bed and quickly fell asleep. He was awoken by the sounds of footsteps coming up the stairs. The boy was scared. He heard them again, but this time with the voice. "Give me back my golden arm." The footsteps got louder. The boy got really scared. The footsteps stopped, so the boy stuck his head out of his blankets and looked around. Nothing was there, but then he heard the voice, "Give me back my golden arm." The footsteps got louder. The boy saw his doorknob twist. "Give me back my golden arm." Thank you for listening to my short Halloween-themed podcast, and stay tuned for more.